Good evening, everyone. It's Rob Cunningham with my good friend Echo the Truth. We are so excited to give you a recap of what is happening at such an accelerating pace. It's almost hard to quantify just the speed at which good news is breaking all over the world. But before we get started, Echo, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you very much, Rob. Thank you, everyone in the audience. Let's go.
Let's go for sure. Do me a big old favor for folks that are in my world that may not have met you or heard from you before. You have a very impressive background and an even cooler style at explaining, the macroeconomics, the macro history, and the world that's not being reported in mainstream media. So introduce yourself to my family.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Echo, also known as Echo the Truth on all social media platforms, right? To be honest with you, whenever I came on to my background history comes from just growing up as a normal natural kid. Father owned several Chinese restaurants and all across Kentucky. And because I grew up in a self-employed business atmosphere, I kind of understood like the how the environment of capitalism really works, right? But also at the same time, my family came from, Vietnam. So, me understanding my family history and deflating currency that happened during that time period and why the importance of like precious metals, gold, silver, it gave me the greater understanding of what the monetary system we are currently in right now. To top that off, my background in mortgage or a decade, my background in mortgage banking for almost a decade long helped me, combined with my family history, helped me understand, the intricate of the banking system and how that everything worked. Uh, During I got into cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology back in 2021 during the last bull run. Started with the Ethereum ecosystem, moved around to other ecosystems because I shortly figured out that Ethereum was not going to be the future of finance, right? And I always heard that in my back of my mind whenever technology would becoming more and more advanced, and everything that we had to do was to do with the banking system, right? So if we were going to be the future, if there was going to be a future of finance, it wasn't surely going to be Ethereum, right? Although Ethereum is a great it has a great ecosystem, it wasn't going to be the future of finance in general. So that's when I started doing more and more research, stumbled upon the XRP ledger and what it's doing, and I just got hooked from that point on. It kind of looked like it went hand in hand together with XRP, with the XRP ecosystem, understanding how that worked with the monetary system, and then how gold and silver is kind of like the collection of everything that I've learned in my whole entire life had brought me to this point. And what I'm really known for on social media is not just covering information about XRP, but also just giving educational history and on the monetary system and how we came to be right now. And it's actually with the assistance and help with the U.S. debt clock, where it gives us in true number and true fashion what our monetary system and the macroeconomic numbers look like. And in that case, most it actually presents us with images, right? Secret images about the history of the finance and monetary system. And so I've been covering those most recently for the past almost a year now, right? Where they're just giving out little images and decode and having us decode it. So that's really what I'm really known for, being able to present to my audience the history of the monetary system, and helping them bridge over to what we're about to go into, because we are going into almost like a shift. Some people can say it's a bit, we're living through biblical time, a quantum leap, right? All of those all together is happening. So that's what I try to do.
And Echo, you do it as well as anybody I've met. My friend Echo has been featured in a great new upcoming documentary called XRP Unleashed. Many of the top stars and educators and influencers, if you will, in this new monetary space have been put together in a brilliant documentary that's going to be released later this summer. One of the things that's brought people like Echo and me together, and folks from all over the United States and all over the world, literally every single nation in the world is talking about cryptocurrencies, gold, silver, the falling US dollar, and what is the world going to look like on the other side without a US dollar being the world reserve currency. There's really no dispute or no debate that this thing that has $35 trillion attached to it is forcing the Federal Reserve to print $1 trillion every 90 or 95 days in order to pay $1 trillion in interest. And that's just the 35 trillion that they're telling us is just a number. We think it's probably closer to 300 trillion. They're not telling us the truth about almost anything. So the discussion that we're going to have tonight is a discussion that's happening in 205 countries around the world. It's a discussion about what's the world going to look like? What are the trading partners going to look like? What does decentralization mean in geopolitics? What does decentralization mean in banking? What does decentralization look like when I have to take responsibility for my kids' education, my own health care, right? My own decisioning where self-governance comes back and the nanny state takes a back seat. Yep. So we have to follow the money. If the new money is going to change the arrangement and the relationship between us as an individual and our wealth without a third party in between, a Bank of America or a government agency or a doctor in a lab coat, or if our faith changes because we have to take ownership of it instead of vesting somebody else's opinion about what a book says, and we have to own our own faith, own our own wealth, own our own security, own our own health, own our kids' education, all of that changes when the monetary systems change. And the cool thing that Echo and I have found is that the discovery process, all the things that we have to learn, history, geopolitics, banking, finance, education, purpose, community relationships. Why are we here? What are we doing? The military-industrial complex. How's that going to be affected if there aren't these central banking systems funneling money into a big, never-ending military-industrial complex that needs to be fed all the time? In theory and in reality, what would it look like if we had a different monetary system that did not allow for harvesting of everyone's wealth on the planet to feed the military-industrial complex? Would that change the world? Obviously, it would. So, Echo and I have been at this for many, many, many years. Thousands and thousands of hours of collaboration, investigation, deep dives, understandings, and conversations. Tonight, what we want to do is share with you in the last 10 days, 7 to 10 days, the most amazing acceleration of news that is falling in line. It's like the dominoes are falling. And everything that we have been talking about, for the last 4+ years is manifesting like almost overnight, like someone just waved a magic wand. And real quickly, what we want to talk about is the legislation that is enabling this new system to take place with actual clarity of law is taking place. It started just over a week ago with this repeal of a Securities and Exchange regulation called SAB 121. It got voted overwhelmingly with like 40 Democrats coming over to support in a bipartisan veto-proof supermajority, 60-40 vote in the Senate to repeal this regulatory stranglehold on the new monetary system. When that goes away, we had a Blockchains Act. We had a FIT21, basic financial innovation and technology for the 21st century. Overwhelming majority just passed. An anti-CBDC that is going to prevent a Federal Reserve bank or a government from issuing a CBDC where they can surveil us as citizens. That just got passed. Tonight, before we went live, the SEC approved an Ethereum spot ETF, which is going to explode the markets and require liquidity. They're working on a blockchain authorization bill, stablecoin authorization bill that is going to be absolutely breathtaking in how it's going to bring liquidity into all the markets. It's going to bring stability, legislative clarity, and liquidity to the crypto digital asset markets the world over. When this happens, because America is the biggest fish in the ocean, it's the largest horsepower in the old world order financial system. When these bills pass, and they will pass, everything changes. So, Echo, tell us a little bit the latest on the usdebtclock.org. What's your decode? And again, anyone listening to this, you can go to right on your web browser, usdebtclock.org. And this information that Echo is going to share with us tonight, give us the messaging and your breakdown of what we need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll share my screen.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, you can't stop what's coming, that's for sure.
And the good news, no one should ever want to stop it. It's going to be nothing but abundance. It's going to be nothing but absolute, unbelievable value to the world. This whole fear narrative that the establishment wants everyone to be afraid of. The reason they're selling fear is they don't want their apple cart turned upside down. They don't want the changes that are about to flood the earth that is going to enrich us at their expense. They don't want that to happen. So you got the floor, brother.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, a lot of people just got to realize that there's nothing you can do to stop what's coming. Just stay positive. Remain positive. Right. God wins at the end of all of this. As long as you just open your Bible, if you have fear, just open your Bible, and it even says to not fear. Right. Trust the process. This is the same story all over again. Right. But we're at the very end of the story. The U.S. debt clock has been telling us about all of this information. This was the most recent U.S. debt clock image that was presented over on their X account. So you can actually go over to their X account, which I highly actually. You want to know what? That's what I'll do. I really want to showcase their X account.
Do it, yeah. And folks, I'll drop all of these links in the bottom of the video so you'll have them for easy reference. All of the social media profiles for Echo, these accounts that we're going to talk about tonight, and any other important relevant information will definitely make this easy for you to access, easy for you to share with other people.
Yeah, so percent.
So many buttons, so much new technology.
Right there.
There we go. All right. You got it.
So this is the usdebtclock.org X account. All right. I highly suggest everyone to give them a follow. Okay. We have almost 45,000 followers on the X account. Right. And they've been giving out secret images started on their usdebtclock.org. Right. So if you go to usdebtclock.org, you'll give a different information. Right. They'll give you in real time, like our debt clock numbers and figures. Right. But on the X account, they've been dropping like little secret images every once in a while, typically every 2 to 3 days around 12 o'clock range. But this is the most recent one that they gave us, right? And it is, it talks about the feds being questioned, right, and giving an answer, and disclosing the answer to it, right? And you have the silver warrior, right? And he's asking the question, how were you able to keep the fake money Fed scam going for so long? And you have Jerome Powell, who's coincidentally wearing a red ritual robe, what I would say, right? And he answers and saying that infiltration, extortion, blackmail, bribery, colluding, scheming, grifting, all while maintaining the great illusion, right? And whenever I was looking at this image, what stood out to me the most was the green background, and because of the green not the green background, but the green curtains, right? And if anybody's familiar with the Wizard of Oz, the Wizard of Oz is actually about the Federal Reserves, right? There's a lot to do with the Federal Reserve and who's behind the green curtain, right? When you go to Emerald City, who is Oz. So whenever I was decoding this image, who the answer was, who was really is Oz, and Oz is the Bank of England, right? And in the top corner right here, you see 1694. That was the year that the Bank of England was established. So it was easy enough for me to say that, like, the illusion is that they want you to believe that the fiat currency that was issued out by the Bank of England, the notes, right, are it has value, right? So the illusion is that similar to the Bank of England, the Federal Reserve, they issues out notes too as well, but it's not backed by anything, right? It's not backed by gold, and not backed by silver. It's only backed by the full faith of the people and the government itself, and what we believe is what its intrinsic value is. It used to be backed by, or I mean, people can sit here and say it's backed by oil, right? By the petrodollar, but that remains to be seen, especially everything going on with Saudi Arabia and them joining BRICS, right? Now, although I've heard that they're still using the U.S. dollar, how much longer, right? I question that, because you have Jerome Powell. His job is to maintain peace and control, standing in front of a podium, acting like everything is okay. Inflation is not a problem, when in real reality, everybody here in America, they go out to the grocery store, they can see that their groceries have, either 100% to sometimes 300% the price and more, just in the past year to 2 years. And he's sitting here saying that everything was okay, nothing, there's not a problem. When in the background, he's just printing off the money, right? And when you print money, especially if it doesn't have any backing, it creates inflation, especially if you're exporting that inflation. And inflation is it's another form of taxation.
It's
And
another form of theft.
yes, yeah, exactly, absolutely. And other countries see that, right? And that's why other countries are like, hey, we're not going to be we're not going to be using U.S. dollar no more. Okay, we don't want to buy your bonds, right? Because then they don't have to worry about the inflation, and they can go on their own currency.
We don't believe you'll even be solvent enough to pay it back. If we put our money there, they're in a position there they care more about the return of their money instead of the return on their money, right? Because the dollar is such a fragile instrument that's on its deathbed. To your point, Echo, there's not a person that's listening to this call that doesn't understand that cost of energy, cost of food, cost of cars, new cars, cost of home. It's like the minimum you can afford a home in America, you have to make at least $100,000 in all 50 states to qualify for even the smallest mortgage. And in many countries, it's just utterly beyond the pay. It's in the low to mid 200,000s to qualify for the average home in the states in the United States. So look, let's don't beat a dead horse. The economy's in the toilet, inflation's through the roof. And one of the things that I can take away from this is the Fed now is in a complete bubble, and they're stuck in a corner. If they lower interest rates in order to try to jumpstart the economy before the election, all that's going to do is create even greater inflation. It'll be a temporary stimulus high by dropping interest rates, but then all these prices will go through the roof. Stock prices will go up. Everything else will go up, making it even more difficult for especially those that don't have assets. They won't benefit from price appreciation. They'll be crushed by it. And if they raise interest rates, they'll tank the economy even faster. And if they do nothing, the economy is going to continue to go off the cliff. So they're really stuck in a hard spot right now with 5 months to go to a presidential election. And as James Carville used to like to say, it's the economy, stupid. There's very few people in America that think the economy is going gangbusters right now. And there's not a lot this government can do about it. And so you and I have the evidence, we have the facts, we have the logic, we have the common sense, we have the history to know that we're changing from system A to system B. Now the question is, what can we tell our audience, the listeners, what should they know? What do they need to know without fear? Objectively, what should they do to prepare themselves for this changeover? What say you?
Yeah, I mean, to not, I mean, trust the process, right? But also, when you trust the process, you understand that what real money is, right? You understand the value of real money, real assets, right? This is why this debt clock right here, this image pops up. It's like, you, as long as you understand that there are fake assets out there, and then you actually turn to real assets, right? Like, you want to maintain your wealth. Okay, that's what I would, be focused on, right? And there's so many different ways to go up on it. And I know that, there are a lot of listeners out there that, are struggling, especially in today's economy, right? But there are ways around it. And this is where you have to think outside the box, right? And you have to be smarter than them. Because the challenge is that, you have to learn to be smarter than I guess you would call it the overlords, right? And this is where AI and technology come into place. Use your resources that you have at hand to try to, generate additional streams of income or try to break out of the system, right? Silver is obviously a precious metal, and I feel like it is very, very undervalued. By the way, if you do want precious metals, I do have a link in my bio, and I'm partnered up with atcostmetals.com to get your metals at cost. Right, you can get your gold and silver, but also, another big factor is copper too, right? Copper, reached a new all-time high earlier this week, or last week, or it was this week, yeah, earlier this week, right? And that's another resource that's supposed to be the digital oil in the future, right? Copper is still very cheap at the moment, and aluminum is going to be another one. Every one of these resources commodities are going to increase in value. So, in my opinion, there are ways that you can learn from it, but also get ahead of it. There's also digital assets that you and I both know of as well, right? Those are a way for people to get in at a fraction of the cost. But at the end of the day, whenever you're having a little bit of savings, right, to try to park it away, but also hedge for what's happening, because I feel like it's going to be one of the biggest major switch of wealth in history.
Yeah, and echo 1,000%. And this is Ray Dalio, the changing world order. There's the most brilliant minds in the world are all in agreement that we're about to go through one of the greatest wealth transfers in human history. The question is, who's going to participate in it? Do the elites want their club to be expanded where there's a lot more commoners like us involved with the elites? Of course they don't. They want their monopoly where they're in control and they harvest us. We're their workforce and they get all the riches. So we have to understand from a common sense perspective, they're not going to want us to jump on board and get this. But as you said, nothing can stop what's coming. And it's so important. I want people to understand how much knowledge has been suppressed from us, how the system operates has been suppressed from us, the patents, the technology that is about to be unleashed on the world so that we can innovate, we can create, we can collaborate, we can come up with new technological innovations, whether there's, flying cars or flying saucers or med beds or whatever the new technology we know of. Anyone can find this. Over 6,500 patents have been suppressed by the U.S. Patent Office. What happens if some of those that change our world need copper, need silver, need gold, need rare earth minerals in the manufacturing process of new solar technologies? Whatever the silver is so, I understand there's about 215 million ounce shortage each year in silver just on to break even on basic manufacturing for things like semiconductors and solar panels and electric cars and silver coated ball bearings that go into all of these different manufacturers. Throw in 1,000 new technological innovations and needing all of these things, and what's the supply and demand going to look like for silver when we get 1,000 new technologies? So the point that we're trying to make here is we're about to go through a period of abundance and wealth. Wealth is going to be transferred from a very elite few, I call wicked assholes. Is that an allowable word? But it's going to be redistributed to the righteous. There's going to be an abundance, an avalanche of freedom and sovereignty and wealth and opportunity and liberty and sovereignty. This entire world is reorganizing around that one simple principle: self-governance and sovereignty, without mommy and daddy big government micromanaging. This world is not designed to be an HOA. And if anybody's ever had any experiences with HOAs, they know what a complete narcissistic power trip most people get when they get a title, and they want to run around and tell everybody how to live their life and how to paint their mailbox and how to cut their grass, and with their dogs barking too loud, and just get all up in our business. Those days are over.
Mm-hmm.
Those days are over. And we're going to have to figure out how to self-regulate, self-manage, self-govern, and fend for ourselves. But it's going to be a beautiful thing, a very beautiful thing. So,
absolutely.
What from a in your words to your crowd and your study, tell the people what you believe distributed ledger technology and XRP, those two combinations, when they're functioning and enabled the world over, what does the combination of DLT and XRP bring to our world?
I mean, it brings the level playing field. That's for sure.
Explain that. Dig into that a little bit. You and I know what that means, but what does, from a biblical, moral, scriptural, historical, just common sense standpoint, what does translate level playing field to the average person, whether they're in the Philippines, Taiwan, Vietnam, or South Georgia? What does level playing field mean?
Yeah, it means that everybody gets a chance, an opportunity to participate in this new economy that's coming in, right? You won't be discriminated against, just because you're just because of who you are, what you do, or whatnot. You have the opportunity to actually create and be innovative on an open ledger, right?
We call that permissionless. You don't have to ask anyone for permission to have assets or barter or collaborate or exchange or buy something, whether they're 5 miles away or 5,000 miles away. There's no intermediary, no permission slips required. As long as you're not breaking the law, we can do anything we want with anybody we want in any location on the earth. That's a level playing field. No rigged trade deals. No perverted exchange rates. Nobody taking 8% out of every transaction of value when you and I are moving value back and forth. It takes that intermediary out. And just like water finds a level playing field, if there's a crooked valley and there's a bunch of rough terrain, when the water comes in and 6 inches come in, the water is smooth and level on the top because it levels itself out. That's the kind of level playing field of opportunity and resources and wealth that we're all going to be able to compete. None of us have to run with some with a 50-pound backpack and some with no backpack, and some with a air kit where they can fly over everybody. Everybody has a level playing field and an equal opportunity. Correct?
Correct. Absolutely. And that's what we need, because that gets us out of the system that we're currently in right now. Because the system that we're currently in right now, like you mentioned, it's not permissionless, right? You do have to ask. There are backdoor deals. There's a lot of manipulation, a lot of bad things that that put us in the position that we're in right now, right? People talk. We talked earlier about inflation and how that's happening, but the only reason why we've had so much inflation, especially throughout the past years, right, it's because of the system that we're currently in, and it's under this controlled ledger, right? They control the ledger. They control who can and cannot use this ledger, who can and cannot participate in this system, right? And once you're able to remove that, right, it actually creates again, a level playing field, but it creates more harmony in the world, right? Because in my opinion, everybody should be working together. The goal and job is to grow the resources, grow the GDP, expand upon, credit, right? Allow humans and civilization to thrive and, and be creative. And we haven't been able to do that. We haven't been able to do that in so long. But because they suppressed the technology, right? But because technology can only be suppressed for so long. Anything could, everything in the world, in my opinion, can only be suppressed for so long. And eventually that suppression, that manipulation, that top will just unfold and you're going to see everything will be revealed. I've heard I'm pretty sure you've heard it too, where they said that 2024 is the year of everything will be revealed. And I'm kind of like, oh man, when I first heard that, I was like, man, I don't know if that's going to be really come true, because that's a lot of things that you have to reveal. But then, we're already into May, right? And look at everything that's already unfolded, so it's kind of like, okay, well, it doesn't, for me, it won't surprise me if everything just gets thrown in at one time.
You echo amen, brother, to that. I mean, what you just said is the system, in order to maintain its power base, requires a lack of transparency and a lack of accountability. They will not let us look at the ledger. If anyone's familiar with Ron Paul, he's been begging for 40 years to audit the Fed. They've not let you audit the Fed. We can't look at their books because they're a private, non-governmental organization. They keep saying they're going to balance the budget and pay the debt off. The whole system is designed to issue money in an infinite way and never pay it off until the system doesn't work anymore. And they bankrupt that one, throw it in the trash can, and put in a new system for enslavement. But they don't want transparency, so we can see the ledger, that they're being honest, that they're keeping an accurate score as to who do I owe Echo or does Echo owe me? This whole banking system has been based on a ledger, but they corrupted it, they perverted it, they printed too much currency, they won't let us see the books. They tell us one story and the truth is something very different. And once everyone gets into that spreading the lie story, spreading the false narrative, they're caught. And if they begin to then tell the truth, they out themselves. And so it becomes this self-reinforcing negative loop that creates people going into political office, making $150,000 a year, and 10 years later, they have a $50 million net worth. Everyone's paid off. Everyone's in on the con. Everyone gets the money in the backdoor deals, but we're just not allowed to see the backdoor deals because we would understand how the trick is being played. The trick is they harvest our wealth and they benefit from the harvest. That's been the trick. And what's so beautiful right now is this transparency, this accountability, this immutability, this atomic settlement of us being able to exchange value the world over. One big global family that can transfer assets point to point in seconds for less than a penny, 24/7, 365, and commerce can take place in as long as two people believe it's legal commerce and it's in our best interest. We can contract and go into an agreement with one another. It's a borderless system of commerce. And it's called the Internet of Value because we as a people are going to universally be able to send value as quickly and simply as we send a text message to anybody in the world. And it is going to change everything that we've ever experienced in our life when that enabling technology and those digital assets and that value can move like we're talking about. It's hard to put in words, but if I was to have a closing, plea to the folks that are listening to this audience, to this video is, number one, follow Echo and me. Write down this hashtag XRP Army. If you're new to this is the first time you've ever heard of this. It's incumbent upon you. No one can teach you for you. You have to put in the work. You have to start humbling yourself, getting curious, digging into material, and finding out what makes sense and whether Echo and I are telling you the truth or we're just wasting our time tonight. Obviously, we want as many people as possible to participate in the greatest wealth transfer in history. And the way to do that is, how many times in our life do we get to buy Amazon stock at $1 or $2 or Apple stock at $5 or Coca-Cola stock when it first came out? If what we're telling you is there's a brand new monetary system that is going to empower an internet of value, that is going to, a technology that's going to enable us to become our own bank, store up wealth, transfer it to our kids and grandkids, and be able to open up the world to commerce in a way like never before, we're either completely insane and lost our rockers, or we're telling you the truth. There's really no middle ground. If we're telling you the truth, I would just say it's incumbent on you to prove us wrong or get in the game, put your toe in the game. It's not financial advice, but it's common sense, and it's playing the odds in your best favor. If you put $2,500 or $500 into something like we're talking about and you lose it all, we've all made bad decisions. If we're right, you might see a 200 or 500 or 1,000 time increase potentially over time in the technology that we're talking to you about. The things that are going to change this world. Every miracle in the scripture book, every miracle in the Bible takes place in a day.
Mm-hmm.
Every recorded history of a Red Sea parting, or Daniel's getting thrown in with a lion and coming out, or everything, every miracle, when time is right, happens like that. So it will very potentially be a little bit too late if you see something go from 50 cents to $500 and then you want to jump in. You might kick yourself. Would you agree?
Absolutely, 100%. You know,
what's the best advice you can give, Echo, to our crowd, and we'll close this video down for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, just be open minded, right? Be open minded to everything happening, right? I think that the people that that are going to feel the effects the most are the ones that have been closed minded, that weren't open to learning and questioning the status quo, right? Because everything we know about money right now is going to 100% change here in the near future. You don't think about money as like the money as a value right now. Like, think about the utility of gold, silver, XRP, right? Because you just base it on the value it is right now. This is not the true value. The true value lies in the underlying aspect of what it really does. The only reason why the number is right now that everybody sees is because of it being traded on the market, right? And that current market that's in is really manipulated 100%. That's not a given secret, okay? But you have to trust the process and understand that when we are going to go into a new monetary system, and the way we interact with money is going to be completely 180. Then you have to think about, okay, well, what does this asset, what does asset do in the future? What is it capable of? Right? You have to question those, right? What does gold do? What does silver do? Okay. What does XRP do? What does Bitcoin do? What does Ethereum do? Right? When you start questioning that, you start finding out the answers, then you're starting to be like, then you could be like, okay, well, if you have funds, then I can literally prepay for your internet for the rest of your life, because that's a really good example of things, right? You buy it ahead of time, but you're buying Amazon stock at $1. That's really what it is, right? Because no matter what, one way or another, every asset that we've listed and talked about this evening has been, does have intrinsic value, and it's going to be valuable in the near future, right? To sit here and say it's not, well, I mean, the chart don't lie, right? The chart don't lie, and the news and information don't lie as well. So if you do your research, you'll see technical analysis side, everything is bullish. On the information from the news side, everything is coming out and everything is bullish. It's just a question of, not a question of if, it's a question of when. And I know a lot of us been rocking this boat for a very, very long time, but it's good to see that there are actually progress and information and news finally coming out. Like, okay, everything we have been theorizing about is happening. Like, and it actually is happening. It's not even crazy. It's like kind of crazy to think about, but it's kind of like what it really is, and it's good to have that badge of honor. So yeah.
It's so exciting to have the vision, and then to have the patience to watch it work itself out, because we have been kind of a microwave society. We want instant gratification. We want to cook something and 2 minutes later, we want to tweet. We want an immediate response to things. And when you see something and know something's happening, we've not really been trained to buy and hold something and not get immediate gratification and be patient for 4 years, and then all of a sudden you're going to get a tremendous return. Yeah, I tell people all the time, Amazon went to for 10 years, didn't make any money, went to $100, then it dropped down to $2, and people laughed and mocked that you're making a Kindle, an electronic book. What the hell is that? They would laugh at Amazon. They don't laugh anymore. They created a whole new architecture, a whole new platform, a whole new delivery system, a whole new ecosystem. And that's really where we are. I mean, 100% of recorded history, all fiat money systems go to zero. We're at the 0 point for this system. So my best plea for each of you, because Echo and I, look, we love everyone, we respect everyone, we honor everyone. We don't have to agree. This isn't about politics. This is about numbers. This is about money. This is about your life, your family, your legacy, what you're going to be able to, your freedoms, what you're going to be able to transfer on to other people, what you're going to be able to do with your life. If you don't think what Echo and I are saying is true, come up with your own theory. Try to prove to yourself that, printing $1 trillion every 90 days to pay off $1 trillion in interest, with unemployment where it is and inflation where it is going to sustain itself for the next 5 years. If you can make that argument to yourself, then you'll and sleep well at night. Do it. Echo and I would probably tell you it is literally impossible to not draw the conclusion that this old monetary system is dead. Mm-hmm. Now, the only other question is, what are you going to do about it? We want to help. We want you to understand what we feel blessed to have discovered. We have a community of people that is second to none, the most genuine, diverse people from all over the world, every age group, both genders, every person in the world. We found a common bond. We found a love and a respect and a mutual support system so that we can help each other get better educated and see. Looking at the monetary system is like looking at a disco ball. There's 1,000 different refractions of that disco ball, but it's all of those lights are coming from the different vantage points and viewpoints of the individuals looking at what money and wealth and opportunity and goals and purpose, what all that means. The reality of the matter is that we have to make decisions independently. No one's going to make these decisions for you. We just hope to encourage you, give you some hope, give you the motivation to maybe just check yourself even for a day. Totally open your mind and go check out some new things, some new ideas. Allow yourself to ask the question, what if? And if you will do that, I know Echo and I would both love for you to reach out, whatever you find, laugh at us, or 6 weeks later, 6 days, come back and go, dear God, you were right. Thank you for encouraging me to get off the fence and go take a look. Oh my God, you're not going to believe what I found. I want to hear a story from you either way. You either find out that we're telling you the truth or that we've lost our minds. But do something. Please do something. Echo?
I absolutely 100%. Also, if you're in the XRP community, one of the things that a lot of people said here and say, especially on my page, is like, the price of XRP is not moving, right? The price of all this, despite all the great news, the XRP price not moving, is actually going down or something like that. I'm just like, okay, well, these are the best times in the world to accumulate. Why are you complaining? Right? I would be accumulating as much as possible. We know what the future has to hold. Regulations coming out. Okay. So, you're never, if we get this once in a lifetime opportunity, okay, Rob Paul said it best, right? Don't fuck this up, right? You get that one opportunity. We have that one opportunity right now. He said that. He said that in a video, and he said, we're going through this just shift, and to not mess it up, right? But at the same time, too, if you're in the XRP community, right, if you're down, if you're despite the price, are you taking a look at the ledger? Are you taking a look at the amazing projects, the community that's surrounded around it? There are a lot of projects on the XRP ledger, a lot of projects, right? That a lot of people overthink. There's decentralized financing right there. Everybody talks about staking, how to earn money passively. There we go, right? You have projects that have regulation already through, let's just say, for example, Casino Coin, right? That had regulatory clarity as a casino coin, right? It was one of the very first cryptocurrencies that was on the XRP ledger. You have metaverse, you have gaming, you have you can learn and earn, right? Educational resources, right? There's so much opportunity out there on the ledger that if people pay attention to see what the ecosystem has to offer, then they'll see, then they can envision, oh wow, this is actually a lot bigger than just holding on to a token into a cold storage wallet. Yeah, okay, cool. There's actually communities out there, like you mentioned, that's building, right? Share their knowledge. We're being innovative, right? This is the greatest time in human history. Don't waste it.
Echo, brother, that is a perfect, and we have a front row seat to history.
Exactly.
And it is the greatest time in human history. I have no idea why I feel lucky that I've just been born in this time, but it is a cataclysmic shift that's going to change every nation in this world for the better. And the people that wanted to challenge the system, whether they were Abraham Lincoln, who introduced a greenback, or JFK, that wanted to introduce a silverback dollar and got assassinated, or leaders from other countries that challenged the gold-backed US dollar or the petrodollar, and we invaded their nations and they found themselves dead. We're truly at a point in time where nothing can stop this ending of one world order and a new, more freeing, enriching monetary system designed for a level playing field for all mankind. We have the technology, we have the time, we have the talent, we have the intelligence, and nothing can stop it from coming. And we just happen to be alive at this point in history that will be known as one of the greatest times in world history. It's amazing. Brother, I want to thank you for being flexible with my schedule today, finding time to get with me, and let us wrap this thing up. I'll put all of our contact information underneath this video. We'd love to hear your comments. We'd love to have you share this with people that may or may not be aware of anything that's going on, because, as Echo will affirm, you're not going to turn on CNBC or read the Wall Street Journal or USA Today or Good Morning America and have anybody tell you this stuff. You're going to have to do the work yourself. You're going to have to lean in. You're going to have to find someone that you trust. And one last caveat, the system, the army of financial sales reps that sell financial products that are all employed by the owners of the old system have no interest in educating you on something they can't sell and make money on. And their bosses tell them, if you open your mouth and talk about this stuff, you're fired. So you cannot go to your traditional financial advisor, planner, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America, Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan. You can't go to typical regulated old world matrix financial advisors and have them educate you on this new monetary system. If you're going to do it, you're going to have to find an alternate way of educating yourself. So Echo and I are just two guys. We do the best we can. We're sincere. We're honest. We're not making a dime off of this video. We're not selling anything necessarily to anybody. It's not financial advice, but it is moral encouragement. And we're doing it with an abundance mentality, a full heart, and no regret. We want everybody to prosper.
Absolutely. 100%.
Echo, brother. Thank you, my friend. I'll speak with you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.